In the early morning mist of 1587, a ship slipped into the quiet waters surrounding Roanoke Island. Tired hands clutched weathered railings. Sunburned faces leaned forward, not with fear, but with hope. More than 100 English settlers had come across a vast unknown ocean, chasing the promise of land, legacy, and a life beyond the rigid walls of home. Among them stood a man named John White, an artist turned governor. At his side, his daughter Eleanor Dare, heavily pregnant. She would soon give birth to Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the New World. It should have been the beginning of something unforgettable. And it was. But not in the way they dreamed. The island welcomed them in silence, lush with trees, surrounded by marshes and tangled with vines. They set to work fast. Wood was chopped. Shelters rose. Wells were dug. The heat was relentless, but so was their ambition. This wasn't a military outpost. It was meant to be a home, a village, a future. But the cracks began early. The land was unfamiliar. Crops struggled, food ran low. Tension lingered in the air, especially in their cautious contact with the native inhabitants of the area. Some exchanges were peaceful, others strained. Words were misheard, gestures misunderstood. And over time, the island began to feel smaller. One by one, eyes turned to John White. And White made a decision he would carry forever. He would return to England for supplies. He promised it would be fast. He promised to come back before the seasons turned. He kissed his daughter. He held his newborn granddaughter in trembling arms. And he left. White's timing couldn't have been worse. By the time he reached England, political unrest had escalated into full military mobilization. The nation was bracing for invasion. The seas were no longer a path home, they were a wall. Every ship was claimed, every port was watched, no one was sailing west. And White was stranded. One year passed. Then another. 3 long years of silence, fear, and helpless waiting. Finally he secured a vessel, and he returned to the place he'd left behind. But Roanoke was gone. The village was empty. No smoke from fires, no tools left behind, no signs of violence, no bones in the dirt. The homes were taken apart carefully, not destroyed. It was as if the settlers had simply stepped out and vanished into the trees. On one wooden post, just one word carved deeply: Croatoan. It was the name of a nearby island. It might have been a direction, a message, or a warning. White believed it meant the settlers had relocated, possibly to join the people of Croatoan Island, modern-day Hatteras. He begged to search, but the winds rose, a storm closed in. The ship's captain refused to delay, and so White was forced to sail away, leaving behind not only a vanished colony, but the only clue they had. He would never return. Roanoke became a ghost, an open-ended riddle in American memory. No bones, no battle, no graves, just theories. Some say the settlers perished, starved, or struck down by disease or disaster. Others claim they tried to build a boat to find White and were lost to the sea. But one possibility has never faded: that the colonists abandoned their English ways and became something new, that they joined local native communities and were absorbed, living not as invaders, but as survivors. There's no written record, but there are whispers. English items, swords, rings, pottery have been uncovered on Hatteras Island, where no English colony ever stood. Further inland, in places where indigenous tribes once lived, European tools have been found. Some descendants of native groups in the area even speak of ancestors with light eyes, unusual names, hints, not proof, but echoes. Virginia Dare's name still appears in history books. She's in statues, on wine bottles, in place names. But she was a baby, barely able to walk when her grandfather left. Did she grow up among new people, learning a different language, wearing beads instead of bonnets? Did she survive? Or did she become just another face, lost to time? We'll never know, because no one ever wrote their ending. The colony didn't leave behind journals, graves, or final words. Just an empty village and a single carved name. The colony didn't leave behind journals, graves, or final words. Just an empty village and a single carved name. Roanoke was more than a settlement. It was a dream pressed into soil, carried on the shoulders of ordinary people chasing something bigger than themselves. They weren't soldiers. They were craftsmen, mothers, children. They came with hope, and they vanished without a sound. Their silence teaches us something vital: that history doesn't always end with an answer. That sometimes mystery itself is what survives. We search ruins, we study artifacts, we debate and disagree. But in the end, Roanoke remains what it has always been: a whisper, a shadow, a name carved in wood.